Hello and welcome to this video. In this channel, we are glad to be bringing to you insights on how you can be able to overcome the fear of public speaking and become more effective in your communication. My name is Mary Amondo, in charge of training and career advisory services. And in this conversation, I'm glad to be joined by one of our lead facilitators for the public speaking and presentation skills training, Mr. Paminas, who will be shedding more insights on how to overcome the fear or the anxiety as far as public speaking is concerned. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you, Mary.
Great.
Yeah.
When we're talking about public speaking, I know every person always wonder, why do I get nervous or anxious when it comes to public speaking?
The simple answer is that it's all in your mind, Mary. And I know you'll be surprised, and anyone watching will be surprised by that statement. But consider this, whenever you are out with your girlfriends, family members, whenever you are asked to speak to people that you know, how often do you get nervous?
Rarely.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure even if you do, it's not as much. But now consider this, you're in a corporate function, your boss is there, maybe it's a regional meeting, and you're asked to say something, you're asked to contribute. And more so if it's unexpected, what will happen?
That is when the anxiety kicks in.
Exactly. You feel all the fear, the nervousness, you lack words, you know, your mouth will go dry. Yeah. And there's a reason why this happens. And the first reason is because, number one, the stakes are very high. If you look at the situations that make us nervous, it's because the stakes are so high. Think about a presentation, a board presentation. Think about even a social event. Maybe it's a wedding. You've never spoken to a crowd of more than 10 people. But here you have an audience of 100. Yeah. Think about, it could be a new audience. You know, you've been posted, you visited your regional office in South Africa, and here you are, they want to hear about Kenya. You're put in a group, you're facing an audience of 30 people who you've never spoken to. You know, and you have the MD, the regional MD there. Yeah.
Stakes are high.
The stakes are very high. Think about impromptu. So you came to a meeting, you're not prepared, and what happens? You're asked to say something. Yeah. So the first thing is that the stakes are high. So what happens naturally is that now the fear of failure comes in. You don't want to embarrass yourself. You know, you don't want to lose control. You want people to see that you're competent. So naturally, as a human being, you don't want to fail. You want to do a good job. Yeah. So your mind, what does your mind tells you? Wow, you're under threat.
When you start asking yourself, is what I'm about to say
Exactly.
what they want to hear?
Now you become more critical on yourself. Self-doubt kicks in, and the situation becomes worse. Yeah. Now, as you can see, we are following a trail. The stakes are high. Here you are scared because this is not something you do on a day-to-day basis. Which brings me to the third reason. A lot of the reason why the nervousness also now is amplified is because we don't have experience. Look at the people we admire when it comes to public speaking. You have the likes of Obama, our local politicians, people in the media. And the only thing they have against us is that they have experience. Even when I started training, I wasn't as good. But nowadays, I can stand in front of any audience. Why? Because you become better with experience, with practice. So you'll find an engineer or an accountant, anyone having a back office role. How often do they speak to an audience? A big audience for that matter. They don't. Maybe in a day-to-day basis, they interact with only 1 or 2 people. So the issue of practice and experience also counts. So if this is not something you do on a day-to-day basis, then you can see how challenging it can be. Yeah. And I want you to think about a marathon runner, you know, Kipchoge. There's always this example I give that we only get to see when he's winning the race.
Yeah.
However, if you ask them, these are people who train 6 days a week. In fact, if you're to run a 42-kilometer marathon, do you know every day they train a minimum of 50 kilometers?
Wow.
Every day. So they'll have their morning training. Someone wakes up at 5 a.m. before the sun rises. They train for 2 hours. Then in the evening at around 5 p.m. again when the sun goes down. So it's the same when it comes to public speaking. The people we look up to, you know, they own the stage, they engage us. It's because this is what they do on a day-to-day basis. So it becomes a skill. And that's how they're able to perfect. Yeah. So in those so many words, that's where your nervousness comes in.
And the anxiety.
And the anxiety.
And this makes me to wonder, is the public speaking anxiety, is it a normal thing?
It's very normal, I'll tell you that. And the reason why I say it's very normal is because, again, if you look at the people we look up to, behind the scenes, for example, now you remember in this class, there's a video we show of Obama being trained. I remember in the last general election, there's the vice president was being trained on how to handle the debate that they had. Yeah. So this is very common, but the degree varies now. So there are people who really, they become nervous, they lack words, they sweat, and you can really see it's a struggle. Yeah. In fact, there's a common saying that, you know, in a funeral, there are many people who, they would rather be in the casket than being asked to say something.
To read the eulogy.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's typical human beings. You don't want to fail. You don't want to embarrass yourself. So it's very common, but the degree varies. Yeah. And I would say, depending also on your experience. So if you're not, again, used to speaking in front of people, the situation can be very bad for you, as opposed to someone who, you know, keeps on meeting people, interacting with others. Yeah. So the experience, it's at a personal level. Yeah.
Listening to you speak, I can picture myself way back before I also got into this space.
Yeah.
And someone who is watching could also be trying to identify themselves where they are and wondering now, how do I overcome the nervousness and the anxiety that comes with public speaking?
I would say anyone watching this video, they've already dealt with the first step, which is being self-aware. I'm sure the reason how they came to know about this channel is maybe they Googled public speaking or something like that. So being self-aware, you know, that I'm feeling I'm lacking in that area. I get nervous. Or public speaking is coming in the way of me developing and going next to my career. For example, you cannot take a leadership position if you don't have good public speaking skills, if your communication skills are lacking. So I would say the first step is that self-awareness. The second step, and the most important, and this is where a lot of us miss out, is that there's a need for training. Why? Because public speaking, it's a skill. You know, we offer this course for 9 weeks where someone comes. We will teach you, number one, structure. How do you structure your conversation? You know, from the start to finish. We teach you about body language. We teach you about how to engage the audience. We teach you how to do impromptu speeches. So it's a skill. So it's similar to the way you drive. You can't wish to be a driver. You have to go to a school.
To a driving school, yeah.
Look at your life. All the things that you are good at is because you are trained, either formal or informal. If you are a parent, you can attest, any parent can attest that it's easier to raise a second-born than a first-born. Why? Because you've gone through the motions. You know what it takes to raise, you know, a child. Yeah. If you're in management, you'll agree with me that, you know, at the beginning, it's quite hard to deal with people. But over time, because of experience, you become better.
Yeah.
So it's the same case in public speaking. So we train you on the skill, hands-on skill, so that you know how to go about it. Then, it doesn't end there. So that aspect is the aspect of practice. So you become better with time. So if you come to the class and 9 weeks, you participate, you're excited, but it ends there, it will not become a skill. So I always advise, even if you have the formal training, look at, in every opportunity you get, how can you exercise those skills? That's what will make the difference. So if it's in an office setup, if you're in a meeting, please contribute. Yeah. Make sure you no longer sit at the back. Look at the church. Where do people sit?
Majority at the back.
Majority at the back. So you always find the first row, there are no one occupying. Even social setups. Yeah. So put yourself, I always say put yourself in the harm's way, and that's the way the confidence you build up. And you find that over time, wow, 6 months later, I'm a totally different person. Yeah.
I agree with you fully. Indeed, training is very important.
Yes.
Because that feedback that you get during the training helps you to know what are my strengths, what am I struggling with, and how can I better myself.
Yeah, in fact, I had forgotten that one thing that makes our training stand out is we make it practical. So it's not just theory. You don't come for the 9 weeks and then you're writing notes. Yeah, half of the class is theory, you know, to make sure that you get the principles and the concepts. And the other one is we give you a live audience, because in a class you always have between 20 to 25 students. We will tell you, Mary, oh, your introduction is lacking. You know, this is how you can improve your body. You need to work on this. Maybe your body language. It could be the filler words, you know, the arms, the ahs, the maybes, you know, all those filler words. So us giving you a live audience, and it's a safe space where everyone is coming to learn.
Yeah.
You're all at the same level. I believe that really makes a great difference.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. I know we'll be discussing more as far as public speaking is concerned in our
Sure.
upcoming videos.
Yeah.
Great. Indeed, if you are wondering, why do I get nervous? Why do I feel anxious whenever called upon to speak? And how can I be able to overcome this fear or this nervousness? I believe you found this video very insightful. And that is why we encourage you to feel free and reach out to us. Join the so many other professionals who have already signed up for our upcoming cohorts for public speaking training. And we'll be glad to work with you this journey. As Pamina has mentioned, it is all about practice. That is what will be able to help you master the skill, even having known your strengths and the areas that you need to improve on. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.